To the Breakdown After Dark. I'm your host, Casey Smith, joined as always by my two co-hosts, Mr. Aidan Dobell and Mr. Keenan Bond. The college national championship just happened no less than, 2 hours ago at this point. We have so much to talk about with that. The women's tournament has concluded. The NBA is wrapping up. We got some MMA stuff to talk about, baseball, all sorts of things. But before any of that, Aidan and Keenan, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. The college basketball season is finally over, so it is time to fully dive into the NBA with the playoffs starting, I think, like next week, and then like fully like draft season. NFL draft is in like is in 3 weeks, maybe even like 2.5 weeks at this point. So it is a very exciting time in sports now that college basketball is over. We can focus on some of the big sports. What a college basketball season it was.
I feel like I'm at one of those points where I'm excited, but I'm also like really waiting for the good stuff to start happening. I'm at the point where the NFL draft is coming up. It's only a few weeks away. I'm really excited for the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, and the NBA lottery / draft. So it feels like these things are super close and yet so far away at the same time.
I think it's okay. I mean, we just had March Madness. We just had arguably the most exciting, week or two in sports. So I'm nice with a little down period as the NBA season's wrapping up, and then we can really get into things. And well, I'm sure we'll have our mock drafts and whatnot in future shows. But I know you guys were excited for our little intro. I have three things I want to talk about. First of all, what'd you guys do for Easter? I was not here.
Didn't do a whole lot. Went to some church in the morning, and then just kind of hung out. That was pretty chill Easter.
I went over to some distant family. They live out in the Anthem area. I spent Easter with them. They made lunch. It was a great time. Got to talk to people I haven't seen since our family reunion a few years back, and I really appreciated them sending the invite out to me.
What do you mean you have like a real like full-on family reunion every?
Couple
Not
years.
I mean, it's not like every couple years, but it's like it was the first time we have done this in like a long time. We did it back in 24 in Kansas City,
Wow.
but I got sick, so I really wasn't able to talk to many people. And this was a chance for me to really get to know these people better. They're more on my dad's side, and these are like some of the cousins that he grew up with. So it was really nice to get to know them and hang out with my aunt and uncle, who I'm pretty close with.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Aiden, but I haven't had I don't even know if I've ever had like a full-on like family reunion type thing. Like obviously when there's like weddings or whatever, the family's gonna show up, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it would make more sense. I mean, my mom's side is really small, but then my dad's side's pretty big, so I don't know. I guess that type of thing would make more sense on my dad's side. And what would you guys say is your ideal candy? Maybe not ideal candy in general, but for Easter. I guess there's a little I feel like there's a little bit of a difference in like spiritually Halloween candy and spiritually Easter candy. Like chocolates feel
Yeah.
more Eastery.
hmm
I don't know. Like I feel like the Easter candy is more like I'm thinking like big swirly lollipop and like
Yeah.
that type of
I
candy.
know what you
Well,
mean.
I don't know. Halloween is just spookier or something.
Um, like the big one would be like the big like chocolate bunnies. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people really like Peeps like as an Easter candy. I think Peeps are absolutely disgusting. I
I think they're
cannot
gross.
eat those. I think they're
There,
disgusting.
there was a time
So
where I used to think of those as edible, and now
they are
Because
disgusting.
I'm a
I'd
big
probably just go for like a chocolate bunny, honestly.
Yeah,
I'm a big gummy guy. I don't know about y'all. Like I eat up
I
Swedish
agree.
fish. I eat up all that. The Haribo gummy bears. I love like just little caramel candies. But Peeps are just like how would you
Oh,
describe Peeps or texture wise? It's kind of like
I don't even. It's like
It's
kind of like a
really
Twinkie.
it's hard to describe. Like it's just like, I mean, they're basically just marshmallows, but there's just something about like when you bite
it.
into it, it just feels kind of more plasticky.
Yeah, it kind of tastes like the stuff in wall, like the pink stuff in walls and ceilings that insulates buildings. It kind of tastes like what
Yes.
I imagine that. Not that I've ever tasted that, but what I imagine that might taste like is how I feel Peeps taste
I mean,
or feel.
you went to that analogy very quickly. I'm starting to
I've
believe you have tasted.
well,
You've ripped out some insulation.
if I have, you wouldn't survive that, right? Isn't it like super deadly? I don't know about not
I would
survive, but
imagine it can't. I would imagine it cannot be good for you.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would look and I don't know if I'd be able to taste much after that. I know it's early. You know what? Let me look that up real quick. Can you survive
I think you can
eating
survive if a
insulation?
small amount. I think you could survive like a
What would
small
happen
amount.
if I ate fiberglass insulation? Cora asked this 8 years ago. It's not food. It's not poisonous. Once you're past the point of possibly gagging and choking and breathing the fibers in, I suspect that for most people, they're past the point of the drama and their digestive system will deal with it. So you're probably just gonna get sick.
Okay.
So you won't die. So nausea, vomiting, and abdominal pain. Nice. But yeah, I'm glad that we all had a little chill Easter. I went out to the lake with my girlfriend. I know that's something I've been saying I wanted to do for a super long time. I've been telling you about that for like since freshman year, Keenan, I think. I don't know if you remember me saying that, but I've talked about wanting to go to the lake. So we went to the lake. We went cliff jumping, which was super
Oh
sick.
yeah.
I was low key a little. We should go. Like me, us
That
three,
sounds fun.
and Jordan and some of the other guys. Like it was really sick because the water was pretty warm, but it was still refreshing. It was honestly pretty dirty to be TBH, but like it wasn't devastatingly brown or whatever. And there was this cool rock jumping spot. There was one that was like maybe 5 feet off the base of the water. There was one, and I jumped off that right away. There was one that was maybe, and I don't know, Maddie's most definitely listening, and she might correct me on this, but I feel like 20 feet, and I jumped off that one. That was pretty freaky. And then there was one that was like 35 feet, and people were jumping off that, and I was like, ugh. It was kind of like you had to really jump out, and I decided not to do that one. It was cool. I'm glad we all had good Easters. What do you guys think about Tung 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 Sahur in Fortnite specifically?
Triple T.
Triple T. Can we get some general thoughts?
I know. Didn't you say that they did like $10 million and
Yes.
it was like the most bought Fortnite skin of all time or something?
So if people aren't familiar with Triple T, you literally have to look him up. Like I don't think I can explain him, but he was like this
It's
AI.
like a log.
It's like a log with legs and a bat. And the backstory, apparently, the lore of Tung 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 Sahur is that someone wanted them to generate Batman, but the AI model didn't have the copyright for that. So instead of making Batman like the superhero, they made like a man made of bat holding a bat. I don't know how he got his name, but he got put in Fortnite, which is, I don't even know, who do you license that with? He's kind of just like a folk, like it's like how do you put Santa? You can't do a collab with like Santa or the Easter Bunny or something. I don't know. So they put him in Fortnite and I think he got 10 million sales in the first 24 hours, which is equivalent to $100 million. Which is the most a skin has ever sold in 24 hours. And a lot of people were upset because they're like, oh, it's promoting like AI slop. And everyone knows, well, most people who know me know that I'm like super against like generative AI and stuff. But honestly, dude, like, it's kind of funny, man. I gotta be real. And like, he was made with Sora AI, and Sora AI got taken down, so he can't like, he died. He's kind of like he got reborn again now as human made art. So now people draw him and he got his soul back. This is all very a lot of stuff that I think is going over Mr. Vaughn's head. Are you familiar with Triple T?
I can't say I am. I am seeing that he was like in the item shop for 4 days and then they removed him. It's funny that you mentioned the $100 million that he generated for Fortnite and Epic Games, their publisher. And I just find that incredibly ironic because I don't know if you two know, but basically they cut everyone related to Fortnite on the work staff, including the guy who created Jonesy. And
Yeah.
it just I hate this trend in video games where it's just like, hey, we're making record profits, fire everyone.
Yeah, I always understand it like with video games and like sports media and stuff. It is a business and a shaky one. So like when things are going bad, like you have to cut staff. You can't just, keep it on forever. But Fortnite's a very, successful game. I don't think they're hurting for money. So that was pretty sad. I think I saw something like 1,000 employees got fired. And like so that, that's a pretty big, that's a lot of people. So, kind of I don't even play Fortnite anymore, but I did get the skin. Because I had V-Bucks left over from like when I had bought them earlier, or like old battle passes, and I had like 5,000 left, and he was like a grand or whatever. So it's not real money, you know what I mean? Like when else am I gonna spend it? So I was like, yeah, might as well, who knows when Triple T will be back? So I decided to do that. And then my last little question for y'all before we get into like the real serious sports stuff. I was talking about this at PHNX a couple days ago, probably like last Wednesday or whatever. We were having a real serious discussion. Well, it's not very serious, but a real heated discussion maybe. If you could have the NBA playing career of one NBA player, who would it be? Now there's some stipulations. You only get the high school, college, NBA playing career. So if they became a celebrity after, you don't get that. You don't get like any wives or children. You don't get any of the coaching career. Just the NBA playing career. Who is not an all-star. Never got an all-star selection.
Okay. I feel like I have an answer to this. I need to verify whether or not this person was ever an all-star.
Who are you coming up with?
And he was not. Robert Ory.
Yeah. You win a lot of rings.
Seven-time NBA champ, played 16 years in the NBA. Yeah, I like Robert Ory. I think that would be my pick.
So they can't be an NBA All Star or what?
They cannot be an NBA All Star. What career would you pick?
Ooh.
I think first of all, some criteria for me personally for my selection. Number one, I'd probably want to be someone drafted like 2000 or later because I want to get a bag. You know what I mean? Like players before then did not get proportionally as much money as they do now. Number two, I definitely want to win a ring at some point. And number three, I don't want to be like complete buns. Like I wouldn't be like Swaggy P. Or like I wouldn't be, I don't know, some random guy on the Lakers. I wouldn't be like Torian Prince. I think the best answer that I could come up with was Richard Jefferson. Awesome player. Was like a semi-star but never an all-star. Got to play with LeBron and won a ring. Is that not pretty sick?
Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty good answer. Especially because I think a lot of people don't realize or maybe forget how good Richard Jefferson was when he was with the Nets. Like he was a great player. And then later in his career became like much more of like a bench and role player, especially with the Cavs.
I think Jamal Crawford is another good answer, though he never won a ring.
You just took my answer. I was thinking like of doing like someone like Otto Porter Jr. just because like he made tons of cash, but the problem is like Otto Porter Jr. Otto Porter Jr. he's like a punchline. He's a joke. Yeah. Like he's referred to as like one of the worst contracts maybe
Patrick
in
Williams.
recent NBA history. But like I would go with Jay Crossover just because like he never made an all-star team, but he's also not a player that like will like easily be forgotten. Like everyone knows, I feel like a lot of people know who Jamal Crawford is because he one of the greatest, if not the greatest sixth man of all time.
I think another good one is CJ McCollum. Now he was awesome. He never got an all-star. He never won a championship, but I think the coolest part of that would be him. You get to beat Duke. Like, because you get the college career as well. So having that Duke upset. So I was thinking about like college guys who pulled off cool upsets too. Like, so CJ McCollum's a good one. Jamal Crawford, guys who won like 6th man of the year. If you got a big bad like Otto Porter or Timothy Mozgov or Patrick Williams.
One name that weirdly came into my mind was Austin Rivers, and he was five-star recruit coming out of high school, one of the best mixtapes. You play at Duke, he hit a game winner against North Carolina. And you're the son of Doc Rivers.
Is that a plus?
You're the son of an NBA head coach. I think
I guess
that's
so.
pretty cool. I don't know. That was just one name that came to my mind, but Robert Ory is definitely my pick.
Yeah, probably or who was maybe like Serge Ibaka. You get to be on the I want to play with cool people. Like I get to
Yeah,
play with
I
some.
mean,
Yeah.
I get
Robert Ory
to
got to play with Shaq and
yeah,
Kobe.
yeah, 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 yeah. You get that. You get to go win a championship with the Raptors. Um, yeah, I think I need to think more about the college career, but I think Richard Jefferson, Jamal Crawford are probably the main two that I would pick. Um, but let's get into some like serious, real hoops talk. Um, Starting off with the world of men's college basketball. Obviously, just had the national championship, but before we recap that, let's get into kind of how we got here. The first matchup was Michigan versus Arizona, and this one was an absolute beatdown.
Um, when I went to the office this morning, it's loaded with U of A people, and a lot of them they weren't crushed by the loss, mainly because I heard a lot of them talking about how they still thought that Arizona was the better team, they're the best team in the country, and that if they played Michigan again, they would win. And that's because they go by the logic that this was just like the worst case scenario for the Wildcats. I picked the Wildcats to win it all in a lot of my brackets. I've said that a lot on this show. And looking back on it, it just kind of seems like a lot of the weaknesses that I noticed in Arizona, like they were just exploited hard by Michigan. For one thing, Michigan maybe didn't reflect because Arizona did win the rebound battle, but it just felt like Michigan was dominating inside. It felt like, and the big thing was whenever I was watching, because I was at a restaurant with family, I was just glimpsing at the TV. But I mean, Mara was dominating the Wildcats. He was probably the best player out there 26 points, 9 rebounds, 11 of 16 shooting. And he was just feasting against an Arizona team who they've got great size too. So it wasn't like he was just playing against some short guys. No, he was going up against guys like Krivas, like first round prospects. I think this one, it just really blew me away. I wouldn't have called you crazy if you said Michigan wins, but to this degree, it really made me like open my eyes and be like, okay, I think Aiden and Casey knew exactly what they were talking about. Like this Michigan team is just built different.
Yeah, dude, they just maul through teams. I mean, they've been doing it pretty much all year, all the way back to I remember seeing them beat Gonzaga by 40. And this is when Gonzaga had Braden Huff. And I just remember saying, unless something drastic happens, like unless Yaxel gets hurt or whatever, I'm going to pick this team to win the national championship. And Yaxel did get hurt. I mean, he was hurt through a big chunk of that Arizona game. They also lost LJ Kaysen, who was, a six-man of the year candidate damn near, like one of the best backup guards in the country. And none of it mattered. They're just so big. They dominate teams on the glass. They crushed them on the inside, and their only losses came to supremely talented teams this year in matchups that they played pretty terribly in. But focusing on this game, yeah, I think Ade Mara is sweet. He's definitely a guy who's going up my boards just watching him more. And I think there's a lot to be happy for if you're an Arizona fan, unfortunately. Like, I don't like to admit that, but, you win the Big 12 regular season title, you win the Big 12 championship and the tournament. And you make it to a Final Four for the first time in a really long time. So they definitely have plenty to be excited about, even if they feel they fell a bit short, which they probably did. They were one of the most picked teams, probably the most picked team to win a national championship. Koa Pete struggled again. 6 for 18. He did at 16 and 11. I don't know. We were talking about this a bit earlier. I think a lot of people have seen the run he's kind of been on in the college basketball playoff, in the NCAA tournament. And they've boosted his draft stock. But for me, it hasn't really changed because he hasn't changed how he's played. He's playing well at the college level, no doubt. But I still haven't seen anything that I think is going to translate to the next level. He's shooting 35% on standstill catch-and-shoot threes on 0.5 a game. He doesn't rebound that well positionally, 5.6 a game. He can't put the ball on the deck. He's an okay-ish passer, and I don't even think he's an incredible perimeter defender. He's just a good guy with bully ball and physical traits at the college level that I don't think will translate when he has to play the true four at the NBA level. I mean, you just don't see – name a single guy in the NBA right now in 2026 who can't shoot threes and plays the power forward. It doesn't exist. He's going to be the only one.
Yeah, I'm like trying to think of guys like there really isn't one that isn't what the league is anymore. If you are a four, you have to have some stretch ability in the modern NBA, and Koa Pete has virtually none. I mean, if he was dropped into the NBA like 20 years ago, he might be an all-star, but in the modern NBA, I don't know what the role is going to be for him.
Yeah, I don't see his niche in the NBA. But a good run for Arizona for sure. One of the most dominant teams on the year. In my opinion, probably the second best team in the year. They just lost to the best team who just steamrolled teams literally all year. And I mean, you look through the teams that Michigan beat in this slate. St. Louis was awesome this year. Alabama was awesome. Tennessee, they were a 6 seed. They, by metrics, were more of like a 3 or 4 seed. Arizona, probably the number 1 team in the nation outside of them, and many people's favorites. So they really just handled business. But going over to the other Final Four game before we get into the national championship, Illinois fell to UConn 71-62. And I was upset that Illinois won because I didn't like Michigan. I didn't like UConn. I didn't like Arizona. Illinois was the one team I could kind of stomach.
This was actually the one Final Four game that I pretty much tuned into from start to finish. It's kind of a hard game to describe. There was a lot of fouls. That's the one thing I remember is just kind of reminiscent of the national championship game to come. It just felt like every minute or so the game was getting stopped to send men to the free throw line. I think the big difference here was Wagler, he did pretty decent although on 7 of 16 shooting, went 2 of 10 from 3. And the rest of the team just didn't really back him up. Stojakovic just didn't have it. This Illinois team, we talked about their scoring depth, and it just wasn't there in the biggest game of the season. And I think UConn's shooting just prevailed a little bit more. Mullins with 15, 4 huge 3-pointers for UConn. Ball had another solid performance. Terrace Reed had a great 17-point performance. It just kind of felt like a game of inches. I think UConn's shooters they found the net more, and this doesn't take away from. This is a great run for Illinois. I mentioned it before. It's kind of felt like just a big moment for their program under Brad Underwood, proving that they can make a run this deep when they were notorious for bowing out so early.
Yeah, this Illinois team, they felt due to finally make a deep run in the tournament under Brad Underwood. They'd been so good so many times, getting to the Sweet 16 or Elite 8 and then getting bounced. But yeah, just the secondary scoring from Illinois, which was so good all year, it was part of the reason why I really like this team. It just didn't really show up. You had only had 2 players reach double figures in this game. The 3-point shooting was really, really rough. And I mean, neither team shot great from the field, but 6 for 26 from 3. It's going to be really tough to win a game like that. I really like this Illinois team. I like the idea of what Brad Underwood is kind of doing and building there, where he's going out and getting a lot of these international players who can kind of play not necessarily positionless basketball, but they're all really good passers. They can all shoot really well. They're very selfless. It makes for a very good team. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Illinois be a very good team for a long time. And I mean, as for UConn, it seems like as long as Dan Hurley is the head coach, they're going to be a consistent power. They simply know how to win in the tournament. I think the record now in the last 4 years in the tournament is 18-2 or something like that. They simply know how to win. They grinded this game out. It was a ugly game for both teams, but they found a way to be a little more consistent and hit a couple more shots.
Yeah, I think Dan Hurley has no reason to leave UConn ever. I mean, this is the perfect situation for him. He's nearby. His roots is home where he grew up and where he was around. He initially moved from, I believe he was coaching at Rhode Island was the school, and so that's his area. He has this program that loves him. They're going to be able to recruit well. They're going to be able to just win basically near unlimited Big East titles. St. John's or whoever will get a couple here and there, but they're going to win that. They're going to do great in the tournament. He has this coaching stability, and his coaching style is tailored to the college basketball game, and I think he knows that. And especially he turned down the Lakers job. If you're turning down the Lakers job, quite frankly, it's not like you're going to take any other job. Like I saw some people, say he might go to the Pelicans or whatever, and it's like, why? Why if you're gonna not take the Lakers job, why would you take the Pelicans job? And I don't think he'd be a very good NBA coach, quite frankly. That's not to diminish anything from the college stuff, but he's very much like a, get fired up, yell at the kids type of coach. And that works really well at the college level, but at the NBA level, you don't really see those type of coaches work very well, where they're like super fired up and yelling at you, because they're not college kids anymore. They're grown men, so it's a little different. And that style just doesn't work. But yeah, I mean, they're already the dynasty of this era of college basketball of the 20s. And I mean, how old is he? Is he in his like 40s, 50s?
Probably in his 50s.
I'll look it up.
Who knows how long he can coach, and if they keep up this level of play.
He's 53.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how long he can coach truly and how long he wants to, but I don't know, man. They're definitely the defining program of the 20s.
There's a lot to unpack with this game. I'll kind of start with the game itself from what I did catch. It was hard with the meeting we had today. I really missed a lot of the second half. I watched almost the entire first half.
And we're talking about the national championship at this point.
Yeah. And it kind of just it was ugly, It was an ugly offensive game. I know a lot of fans are complaining about the referees, how 10 more fouls called on UConn than Michigan. But you look at the field goal percentages and the 3-point splits, 30% from three for UConn from the field, 38.2% for Michigan. And from the 3-point line, it was ugly. 27.3% for UConn, 13.3% for Michigan. That's terrible, quite frankly. And UConn won the battle on the glass. They got 7 more rebounds than Michigan. The difference is that UConn was just so much more inefficient. Caravan, 5 of 14. And unfortunately, Terrace Reed Jr. chose the one game where he just took that dip in performance when they didn't need it. 13 points, 4 of 12 shooting. And it was a game that, like Yaxel Lindeborg, I mentioned how when I saw him coming out of the starting 5, I was questioning, is he 100% healthy? It didn't look like it. Still had 13 points, but Elliot Cadeau was the X factor here. 19 points tonight, and I just got a tweet on my phone saying that he won Most Outstanding Player of the NCAA tournament. Absolutely deserved. He made an incredible run this year. Officially ends the streak of UConn had been to every time they made the national championship game, they won 6 in a row. First time they are now 6 of 7 in the national championship game. But I also just want to give my flowers to Dusty May. I mean, he has done an incredible job as a coach. Not his first Final Four, took FAU here, which that says a lot about the kind of coach
who did they
he
lose
is.
to?
I seem to remember it was a certain Butler fellow that sent them home
Butler
in
made
Houston.
I lost to a Big East.
No.
Lamont Butler.
Oh, like the Kentucky guard?
It was the Aztecs.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Now. Oh, I remember that one. Yeah, I think I was watching that game.
But Dusty May is just a fantastic coach. I see a lot of people complaining about how he's a transfer merchant, how he's a snake. He meddles and he tampers. He gets results. He has done an incredible job turning around a Michigan program that just 2 years ago, when we first got here at ASU, was dead under Juwan Howard. And 2 years later, they've just won the national championship.
I mean, it's truly wild how quickly Michigan like turned it around from the Juwan Howard days where, like, yeah, 2 years ago they were 8-24. Juwan Howard was fighting opposing coaches on the sideline after games, and like, yeah, and a couple years later they're national champs. They're 37-3. Like, they're legit in consideration for one of the greatest teams of all time. And the way that they built this roster out might be a little controversial. Their starting five was all transfers in this game, but that just is that's the modern landscape of college basketball now. You're gonna have to go out and build transfers. You're gonna have to build these more experienced teams that can, they've been there before. They know how to handle the big moments in the tournament. And yeah, credit to Dusty May. I think truly needs to get more credit for just how good of a coach he is. Like, obviously this Michigan team is extremely talented, but getting 5 transfers, 5 guys who going into this year had never played with each other, to play with each other and play off of each other so well, I think is a very hard task, and something that I don't think he's getting enough credit for.
To your point, Aiden, I just wanted to add real quickly. You mentioned how they could go down as one of the greats. They finished the season not only 37-3, but with a 39.7 KenPom rating. That's second greatest of all time. The only team that they're behind is 1999 Duke, who didn't even win the national championship that year. That just shows how special this team was. And again, credit to Dusty May and the roster that he put together for an incredible job.
I think that KenPom stat is a little bit misleading, though, because when you're measuring net rating, it's not like comparative to eras. It's comparative to the teams within the given year. And it's clearly been like, that's why the overall KenPom net ratings have been going up, is because it's not like there's the talent is leaving the middle of these mid majors and going up towards the top, and culminating in like the top 40 or so power teams. But that's not I just think that stat needs a little more context. But still, they are probably one of the a handful of the best college basketball teams of all time. And certain people who knew what they were talking about, obviously, were going to pick them to win the national championship. And all the dum-dums who don't really watch college basketball just didn't know. Right, Aiden?
I was close, man. I was close.
I mean, just only true ball knowers like me and Casey.
It was obvious.
Would pick Michigan to win it all.
Yeah, and that's how you get top 3 in the bracket group. It is a little bit stupid
how much the champion matters. Because my bracket as a whole was not good, but I got the champion right.
Yeah, and that's why it's also, you should not pick the most popular national champion, even if you think it's like most likely to happen. You should pick one that's a little more off key, because if it does happen, then you're automatically gonna basically win your group. And it's a lot easier to do that than the odds of the best team winning. And then you're also beating out like 12 other people. But that's an aside. But March Madness is fine and whatever, but real ball knowers, they obviously picked Michigan. They also decided to watch the college basketball crown, and they decided to pick West Virginia, because the Mountaineers came out and they did win the college basketball crown. If you're not really familiar with what it is, I believe this is the second year of the crown. And it's basically there's the NCAA tournament, then there's the NIT, which is like the bubble teams, and mid-majors, both mid-majors and power schools. And then the power schools even below that go to the crown. So basically, not quite the bottom feeders of every conference, but pretty close to it. I mean, the crown teams were Oklahoma, West Virginia, Creighton, Baylor, Stanford, Rutgers. These are not incredible programs. Or, some of the programs are good, but not incredible teams. But West Virginia beat Oklahoma in OT. And Aidan, you picked Oklahoma. It was a good pick as well, even if they were runners up. And yeah, I mean, I thought this was a pretty solid West Virginia team. I'd watched them a decent amount in the Big 12. I mean, they were seventh. Like, they were right there. They had the same conference record as BYU and UCF, teams that made the NCAA tournament. They just kind of didn't put it together until conference time. They were a little more rough in the non-con, dropped some to like Xavier and Clemson and Wake Forest and whatnot. But I don't know. Do you guys like the Crown?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to complain about adding more tournaments that let teams extend their season a little bit longer. I'm not going to act like I'm a connoisseur of the NIT, but it is really fun to see. And I appreciate teams like West Virginia that want to continue playing basketball, even if they don't make it to the big dance. And I agree. I mean, I wouldn't say, I'm not going to be crazy and say like, this is a team that, should have been in the bubble more seriously, maybe in the tournament. I think they were just a decent team. They swept UCF this season. They picked up big wins like Kansas. And the fact that they blew out Creighton, keep in mind, like, this is a Creighton team that beat UConn this season. So, I mean, credit to West Virginia. I'm really hoping they've kind of been stuck in this rut these past few seasons where they've been on the bubble, decent seasons. I want to see them have that 1 year where they finally break through and make it back to the NCAA tournament.
I think this year they were like on the bubble of the bubble. Like they had no business being in the NCAA tournament. They were still pretty far off.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think the Crown's cool. It's good because they earn some money for their programs. I won't complain about college basketball. And like I do enjoy watching like because it's not like it'd be one thing if there was a tournament for like Utah, Kansas State, Maryland, Penn State, like some of the real bottom feeders in a given conference. But yeah, why not go see Oklahoma, who pulled off a couple good wins this year, or why not go see Creighton, who didn't put it all the way together, but had some good wins. I think that's in good fun.
Yeah, I mean, why not go see is it Honor Huff? Why not go see him drop 40? He is truly one of the more, when he's on, he is one of the more fun players to watch. Yeah, I'll never complain about some extra college basketball. And I will say, I don't know if this has any bearing, but last year's Crown winner was Nebraska, and they started the season 20-0, and made it pretty far in the tournament. So, maybe that bodes well for West Virginia next year. Maybe you win the Crown. Next season, you have a great season. Yeah. It would be pretty cool for West Virginia. I remember the days where they were an elite power in the Big 12, and that matchup and rivalry with them versus Kansas was always one of the more intriguing matchups every year. So it'd be really cool if West Virginia could get back to some of the success of the Bob Huggins days.
Yeah, and going over to the other college basketball tournament, the NIT. Auburn went out and won the NIT 92-86 to Tulsa, who, made a little bit of a run here in the NIT. But it went to overtime as well, so, two great championship games that went to overtime. And, don't think about this one too much. Or maybe do. Maybe it is targeted towards a certain program. But, when you get left out of a postseason tournament, maybe basketball, maybe football. Certain programs like Auburn decide, hey, we're gonna go prove it. We're gonna go play in the NIT or maybe the equivalent of like a bowl game, and we're gonna go, prove that we deserve to be in, and we're gonna go win. While other teams, who get left out, maybe in college football, decide that they're just gonna end their year. Not to call anyone out.
Yeah. I agree. It's all about hey. We didn't get in. That's fine.
Let's go prove
that you're wrong by playing by extending the season. We're going to prove you wrong. And hey, credit to Auburn because they did what I think a lot of teams wouldn't have done in this situation, and they went out there and they won the whole thing. Tulsa was the team that I was keeping my eye on throughout the season. One because they were at the top of the American for a long time before South Florida leaped them. and two, because my dad he loves Tulsa because that's his. I don't know if it's his hometown, but he spent a lot of his childhood there, so he's a big Golden Hurricanes guy. But yeah, credit to Auburn. Great performances by Overton and Pettiford. 50 combined points. Yeah, good on the Tigers and good. Hey, Steve Pearl. Is it? Yeah, Steve Pearl has already won a championship in the first year of him being with the Tigers.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't the Aztecs decline their NIT invitation?
Yeah, and they shouldn't have.
They,
I wish they would have gone out and played and
I
had postseason basketball.
For the record, I wish Notre Dame. We
Notre
all right.
Dame,
Let's not beat around the bush.
Notre Dame,
We know who you were
no.
referring to. All
Notre
right?
Dame basketball was never going to make the NIT.
No, I'm not talking about Notre Dame basketball. I'm not talking about Notre Dame basketball. I'm talking about Notre Dame football declining their bowl game invite to the Pop Tarts Bowl.
Oh,
All right.
yeah, that did happen.
Where for the record, they would have smacked around BYU.
Well.
No.
I guess we'll never
We'll
know.
never know.
I guess
We'll never know.
know.
All right, whatever, guys. Whatever.
BYU.
Listen, I get why they did, but I would have loved to see them play BYU in the Pop Tarts Bowl. I'm always for playing as many games as you possibly can, not cutting your season short.
I 100% wish the Aztecs would have. I think the main reason they didn't, as we can get into here now, is because so many dudes transferred out. Bird, Heidi, Magoon Guath, all out. I still would have liked to see the other. I think it can kind of be like a tournament, almost where it's kind of like a preseason tournament, like where you're seeing, hey, these are the guys that we probably are going to retain. Let's see them go compete in some kind of cool setting. So I still would have liked it, but either way. But the transfer portal is open. People are out there. And also, Mike Malone going to North Carolina. A little bit surprising.
Yeah, I can't say that this was the hire that I would have predicted to be the ultimate outcome for the Tar Heels. It felt like the longest time, you kept hearing about, is Dusty May on the table? Is Tommy Lloyd on the table? Are they having conversations with a big candidate, maybe like Billy Donovan, rolling the dice on him living up to his potential that he showed back over 20 years ago when he won those back-to-back titles with Florida? And when I saw the notification that it was Mike Malone, I was like, okay, why? And then once I started to see, okay, his daughter plays, is it volleyball? She plays volleyball for North Carolina. And Mike Malone is a good coach. I think Mike Malone probably should have or could have had a longer tenure with Denver. I think the GM he was paired with did him no favors. I think Mike Malone is a really quality coach. The problem is just it's such a risky hire for a program like North Carolina that's used to excellence and competing for a championship every single year to hire a guy with absolutely no college head coaching experience whatsoever. So we have no idea what Mike Malone at the college level could look like. He'll have all the resources in the world to play with, but we'll have to see what happens next season.
This is such a high risk, high rewards type of hire. If it works out, you're a genius. You hired a guy who's proven himself at the NBA level, and college basketball and college athletics are becoming more and more similar and close to a professional league. But the fact that he has never coached in college basketball, as much as there are some similarities now with NIL, it is still such a different sport. So this could end up really backfiring for North Carolina, and we could look at this in 2-3 years and say, why in the world did they hire Mike Malone? Or we could look at it in a couple years and North Carolina's right on top, being a national powerhouse again, and we're like, what a smart decision, what a slam dunk hire from North Carolina. They knew what they were doing, hiring a proven coach like Mike Malone. It's very interesting, and I would not be shocked if we see more former NBA and I guess NFL head coaches going back to the college level, because it's as close as it's probably ever been to being the pros. Like before, you would never see it just because the games were so different, but they're pretty similar now.
Well, this may be the last men's college basketball section we have for a minute, because all the tournaments are wrapped up. The season will start back up again in November, and we'll have transfer portal and preseason stuff and whatnot. But what are our general thoughts on March Madness, on this basketball season? Any closing thoughts before we wrap up with the segment? I mean, this was the first year that we covered start to end as a show, which is kind of crazy and cool to think about.
I'll say this. This tournament has had some of the craziest moments that I have ever seen in a tournament. I will never forget the Iowa winner against Florida, the VCU pulling off that amazing comeback against North Carolina. There have been so many. The Dylan Darling buzzer beater. Sorry, Aidan. There were moments that I will never forget. But I'm not gonna lie. By around this, like the end of the first round to the start of the second round, I started to feel my interest really starting to wane in the tournament. And that's just because there was just so many blowouts. And I was tired of seeing a lot of the mid majors in the tournament looking like they shouldn't even be on the same court as some of the lower end, like 6 seeds, 7 seed. It didn't matter. There was just a lot of mid majors that didn't stack up at all. And I will say this, I am completely on the side of I really like that athletes are getting compensated for their work in college athletics. I don't support just not having any sort of regulation on what's going on. I'm already seeing a lot of entries in the transfer portal now that makes me genuinely go, why? Why are you entering the portal? Why is Blackwell? Why is Tiller? Why is I don't understand why all these guys, maybe they're just testing the market, but I just feel like the game is changing in front of my eyes. And I genuinely don't want to be one of those old, like an old guy saying back in my day, it used to be so much better when it was like this, because March Madness was never perfect. But to see now where all this, all this roster turnover, not getting attached to any of these players, they're going to be gone in a year. It just feels disheartening. And I think something needs to be done. I don't think March Madness is fully cooked. If you watch the tournament this year, you saw incredible moments that you'll remember forever. But I feel like the game is starting to spiral a bit out of control.
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy. I do think there is some aspect of where like we're not seeing as many, like a lot of the mid majors might get left behind because they just cannot compete the same way NIL wise as a lot of these top programs. But like once I feel like once we got into like the Sweet 16, every game was really good and really competitive. So I think that might be what we see more going forward, where the first couple rounds, like the top dogs take care of business and they kind of blow these teams out, and we're not seeing as many of like the small mid-major schools get those like first round upsets that um, we've seen in years past. But once you get later, you'll see really good competitive games consistently. And we still got some upsets. Like Iowa made like a deep run in the tournament. Like High Point beating Wisconsin. Like you'll still see upsets. They just won't happen maybe as frequently as they have in years past.
Yeah, I loved watching college basketball. I enjoyed the year. There were so many fun storylines. Like Miami of Ohio was so sick to see. St. Louis was fun to watch. The storylines within the Big 12, the big, I just had so much fun watching the year. There's definitely things that need to be changed, but I don't think we're that far off. I feel like it could be pretty simple. So, it is what it is. I had a really fun time watching it, and I will miss men's college hoops. But that takes us into women's college basketball, and their Final Four wrapped up as well. Let's start off with South Carolina beating UConn. Perfect season, no more. The Huskies literally hadn't lost a game up until this point, and South Carolina beat them 62-48.
Yeah, this is Aiden and I were talking about this. Just a brutal day for the star cornerstones for UConn. AZ Fudd, 8 points on 3 of 15 shooting, 2 of 9 from 3. just a disaster. Sarah Strong, 12 points, 12 rebounds, but 2 of 5 from three, 4 of 16 on the game. This was just, I mean, Dawn knows what she's doing. The NCAA tournament is Dawn's time, and you could say the same thing for Gino and UConn, but this was just a brutal way to end your undefeated season to barely even be competitive in the semifinal. And honestly, I think more
Well,
people
I mean,
are talking about the spat at the end of the game.
they were down 4 going into the fourth quarter. They just completely choked in the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they got outscored, or it would have been down 5. Sorry, but they yeah, I wouldn't say they weren't competitive, but like at the end, 48 points in a college basketball game is like kind of unacceptable, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was surprised that UConn lost. I mean, I thought they were my pick to win it all. But honestly, unless you guys have anything else, I'm more interested in the other Final Four game. All right, I'm sure you are as well,
What
Mr. Vaughn.
what a disaster. I actually followed Texas. Like I've been really following Texas women's basketball the last few years. I love what Vic Schaefer's been doing with the program. This one stung because I mean, there's no other way to put it. If they win this game against UCLA, there's a good chance that they win it all because, spoiler alert, UCLA put Belt in the next game. But Madison Booker just put up an absolute disaster class of a performance when she was needed most. 3 of 23. At that point, just stop shooting. And I think the moment that epitomized it was they were coming back at the very end of the game. They cut the lead to 3, and they had possession with about 30-ish seconds left. If you have a good possession there, you can tie it up and completely shift the momentum. Madison Booker takes the ball, tries to challenge Lauren Betts, one of the tallest people I've ever seen on a women's basketball court, and just gets denied. Game over.
It is one of the worst basketball performances of recent memory that I've seen. I mean, it legitimately felt like obvious that she was crumbling away her team's chances in real time. I mean, every single like there was a point where she was 1 for 16 and then she missed and they showed 1 for 17, 1 for 18. They just kept on showing how poorly she was playing because it was dreadful. She was awful. And they did. They cut this down to like 2 at a point, and it was crazy because I think they had like less than 30 points at a point in the fourth quarter. The offense was non-existent, and they finally started to bring it into gear. I mean, I don't know. You never sub out your star player, but maybe you got to tell them to slow down.
I mean, when she was like what yeah, 1 of 17, 1 of 18 on the game, like at a certain point, I know the Dion Waiters quote of I'd rather go 0 for 30 than 0 for 10 because 0 for 10 means you lost confidence. Lose confidence, like you're not making shots. At a certain point, you got to try to find ways to help your team win in other ways. Like you have to get your teammates involved, try to get them good looks, and just realize, listen, my shot's not falling tonight. Like I've got to find ways to get my teammates involved, get them good looks, and try to get them to score. But yeah, 3 of 23 is unacceptable. The fact that she was 3 of 22 and down 3 when Texas had fought so hard to come back in that game. And she goes coast for coast and challenges one of the best shot blockers in all of women's college basketball on a night where she had been horrible. Was a truly baffling decision. I really don't know what else to say other than that. Then, if you're having a game like that, you're that poor, you have to stop like shooting at a certain point because you are costing your team the game.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And also, Keenan, you watch a lot more, obviously Texas women's hoops than me. They only went 2 for 9 from 3. Is it typical for them to shoot this little and like I guess this bad, but just like only shooting 9 threes in a game is like kind of crazy to me. 2 for 5 from the free throw line as well. Like just not getting to the line either. I mean, it's just a terrible offensive like output overall. It's really stunning like to have watched.
It's really not their strength. Like if for on the season, they shoot 33.5% from three. Texas is just a team where they thrive on, let's dominate inside. That's their game. Where they put set like a 35 plus point win over Michigan the game prior. They went 3 of 19 from three. So it is not their strength at all. They're just so good in so many other areas. And I think that really caught up to them here because the offense just was not able to overcome Betts and the suffocating UCLA defense.
And, that took them all the way to the national championship, and it took them all the way to winning it. UCLA beat South Carolina 79-51. And Lauren Betts, I believe she's projected to be a top 5 pick, maybe even top 3. And for good reason. I mean, she's already 6'7". She's one of the tallest. She'll be one of the tallest players in the WNBA off rip. And very impressive for UCLA, especially considering how much South Carolina has dominated as of recent.
Yeah, first title in program history for the Bruins. Every starter in their lineup got double digits. Even the bench had 9 points, thanks to Angela Dugalich. So, I mean, great season for the Bruins. Hopefully, this is something that they can build on. And this is not just because the tournament was in Phoenix this year, but this genuinely felt like it was like a building every year to where the women's tournament is something that I want to tune into.
Yeah, it was cool to see. I was glad that it was in Phoenix. I wish I found time to go to FanFest, but I just did not. I didn't go. What a fumble. But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed watching the bits. I enjoyed watching. Obviously, like having a team like Notre Dame go on a run was really cool. Having ASU in the tournament was really sick. So I had like that connection piece. If San Diego State would have made it, that would have been awesome too. But they didn't, which is fine. But yeah, it was a fun tournament. And yeah, college hoops is wrapped up now, fellas. We ready to get into the player of the week?
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you guys have for player of the week?
I'm going to go with a game that we watched side by side with the first half of the national championship game. Someone who hit a clutch shot to get a huge win today against a fellow, probably, they're going to be a playoff team in the Eastern Conference. Give me Mr. Jalen Brunson dropping 30 points tonight against the Hawks, 11 of 26, 3 of 8 from 3, 13 assists, had an amazing little just soft bounce to end the game there. I would have probably put maybe CJ McCollum in this spot. He almost hit one of the greatest shots I've ever seen, but they did rule that the ball was still in his hands.
Do you guys speaking of that game, do you guys like the score bug that NBC has on there?
I didn't pay much attention to it, but I thought it was fine.
Oh, it's so gorgeous. I think it looks like beautiful. It looks so different. I don't know. That's kind of like sports production geek of me, but no, Jalen Brunson's a good pick. What about you, Aidan?
I'm going to go a much different direction here. I'm going to go to a college baseball player. Give me LSU catcher Cade Arambidi for his performance last night versus Tennessee. He went 5 for 6 with 7 RBIs, but he hit 4 home runs in the game, including a grand slam in the 12th inning. Truly an all-time performance. I mean, hitting 4 home runs. 7 RBIs and 4 home runs in the game.
How did he only have 7 RBIs on 4? Because I think one of them was a grand slam.
So
the other two must have been
solo shots.
3 solo home runs and a grand slam. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that is one of the. I mean, is this stadium like miniature sized or something, or is this?
I mean, to be fair, college baseball always has a lot more home runs because the guys use metal bats and the pitchers aren't quite as good. But yeah, 4 home runs in a game is pretty ridiculous. And the stadiums aren't like that much smaller. Like the dimensions are pretty similar.
We've been to our fair share of ASU baseball games. Phoenix Municipal. Yeah, we have. Me and Aidan have been to a few.
I've been to a couple.
And my favorite part.
I've not been to any this year though.
My favorite part of going to the games is leaving.
Leaving?
I remember Aiden and I went last year. So the last game we went to, I remember we both were like, let's never go
Dude,
again. We just both
it
want to
got to
leave.
like it got to like the sixth inning, and we were like, we were rooting for just like 1, 2, 3 innings. We were like, let's wrap this game up. Like
I'm sorry,
we didn't
Keenan.
want to leave. We didn't want to leave early, but like, dude, it was like, I'm just not a baseball guy. It's like, just I don't know,
I like the
being
MLB.
there. MLB's fun, but like being at a baseball game, like a college baseball game, was ASU wasn't winning the game either. Like it was just
I can't.
I don't know what it was about that game in particular, but it felt like it was just dragging on.
I can't do college baseball. I'm so spoiled with Petco. Like I'll go to Padres games and it'll be a great time. But like,
I go to White Sox games and they're a blast.
I'm sorry,
But
Keenan. Tell us why we're done.
I mean, as a guy who goes to Muni like once every 2 weeks, I mean, I don't necessarily blame you because most of the games that I go to, usually I'm heading to the media room to do a press conference about 4 hours after first pitch.
oh,
So those games they drag, and a lot of the times, like the result, like is determined by the third inning. So you're just waiting for the game to wrap up, but at least they make it interesting. Like with ASU, the reason why I pay close attention is because they've got a guy like Landon Hairston, where every time he gets up to the plate, you assume that he's just going to go yard.
Yeah. Well, I my player of the week. I was actually a little bit disappointed. You guys, not disappointed. I thought I was going to be able to get through the whole West Virginia section without anyone mentioning him, and then I saw Aiden get this little light in his eye, and of course he wouldn't let me rush through the segment. But it's Mr. Honor Huff for West Virginia. The whole reason I wanted to bring up this game was to talk about him, but then I realized I wanted him to be my player of the week, so I had to go try and go through the segment without talking about him. But yeah, damn near 40 points, 38, 8 made threes, not a singular rebound. Went 8 for 15 from 3, 1 for 4 from 2, and 12 for 12 from the free throw line. Senior year, last game, crown championship, played his heart off in OT. And I mean, what an incredible feeling it must be in your last game, like it's your last game, to just empty the clip. Just let it all loose and just be absolutely on fire. He's my player of the week. Played pretty well in their other games as well, but obviously this is the game that I was like, man, like that's what makes him the my player of the week, and that must be so cool. But let's get to our NBA section. And why don't we start off with some heartwarming news? Karnisovas, the Bulls GM, is unemployed.
um, yeah, Carney Shovas and Mark Eversley no longer have jobs with the Bulls. It is a great day to be a Bulls fan. They finally did what they've needed to do for a long time, which is clean house with the front office. Should have done it the moment they extended Patrick Williams. That should have been get them out. But I made the joke to Keenan, but it's unfortunately kind of the reality of Jerry Reinsdorf can tolerate incompetence and losing teams. What he can't tolerate is media and public embarrassment. Um, and this Jaden Ivey situation was the final straw for them. How they handled it, how like they traded for him, knowing that it was like kind of a mess in Detroit, and then it was a mess in organizationally with the Bulls, and then how they handled waiving him, and just everything that transpired with that. It was a straw that broke the camel's back, and it was enough to get it out. So to get out bad like front office. So shout out to Jaden Ivey, Bulls legend forever, for being the guy that was able to get rid of Carney Shovas.
The fact that the Bulls could go from Garpax, who had just plenty of mistakes in their time, and really handicapped the Bulls, to someone who Carney Sovas might be worse. This man handed Patrick Williams $90 million. Aiden and I have bantered about this so much over these past few years. Patrick Williams he's god awful. He's one of the worst players I've ever seen get paid that big of a contract, and it's it's easier for me to point out all the things that Carney Sovas did wrong during his tenure than the things that he did right. There are glimpses of a future vision with Buzelis. We'll see where Diddy fits in the plans, but now the Bulls they're finally doing what they should have been doing a long time ago. They're not aiming for the play-in anymore. They're cleaning house, and now, and Aiden made a great point to me when he pointed this out when I texted him reacting to the Michael Malone hiring. This now means that Billy Donovan is absolutely on the hot seat because now that a new front office is moving into the Bulls, they might not want Donovan to be there. I know he did just receive a contract extension, but they might want to bring in their own guy. So I think Donovan is on the hot seat, and it's for the best. The fact that I think the problem for me, Aiden, is that I can't tell whether or not Carney Sovas in the front office was fired because of the terrible product or just because Reinsdorf looked at the Jaden Ivey situation and said, "I'm not having that. You're fired."
I really truly believe it was the Jaden Ivey situation. I mean, Reinsdorf has said and it sucks because he's one of the worst owners in sports. I have to deal with him with two of my favorite teams, the White Sox and the Bulls, but he has gone on record stating that he does not really care about competing for a national, not national, competing for a championship. What is important to him is giving the fans some glimmer of hope and winning just enough games that you will sell tickets in place of meaningful games at the end of the season. That is a exact quote from Jerry Reinsdorf. That is awful for an owner to say that. But that is the reality. So this Jaden Ivey situation is truly what got them out. It is not the organizational malpractice, the fact that they've gotten so little back for so many key players that they've traded, the awful draft picks, the extending Patrick Williams. There's so much, but it was truly the Jaden Ivey situation.
Yeah, he's one of the worst owners in all of sports. I mean, I'd much rather have a Jerry Jones type owner who.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, wow.
I think I would. He's gonna meddle with the team.
He at least seems to want to win games, even if maybe the decisions he makes aren't the best. It seems he wants to win games. Where Jerry Reinsdorf legitimately doesn't care about winning games.
Yes, Jerry Jones is gonna make poor decisions because he has bad judgment. But his ultimate goal is winning a championship. He wants to win rings. Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't care. He just wants whatever's going to make him the most money. And if you have that thought process, it's basically impossible to win a championship. Whereas with Jerry Jones, maybe he does get lucky and he hits on the correct guys. He's willing to invest the money into the right things. Sometimes he doesn't pick the right guys. But yeah, the caveman Carney Sovas is unemployed, which is a wonderful, beautiful thing. But I did want to talk about probably the most interesting award race in the NBA right now. Kahn versus Cooper. Where do you guys stand? Because Kahn has been a little more consistent all year, but Cooper, 40-plus in back-to-back games. He's been on fire in his own right.
Man, I'm not sure if I can give you an answer, to be honest with you. I'll say this. So on Friday, we all got together and we watched Magic versus Mavericks on League Pass. And, Coop was just cooking them. 51 points, 19 of 30 shooting. It was unbelievable what he was doing, and they still lost by 11 points. The supporting cast around him is just so terrible. But I feel like the Mavericks accomplished their main goal of let's just get Coop experience, let him, develop in his first year. And he's already proven that he is a borderline, if not just complete generational talent. He looks amazing. But man, Kahn is a guy where maybe I don't catch as many games on League Pass, but anytime that the TVs at my office are tuned into NBA TV, they're showing his highlights, and you're right, Casey. I think he's probably the more consistent of the two. I just see every time that they post a Hornet score, he's got some insane stat line. So it's really hard for me to choose. Maybe I like the ceiling of Flag just a little bit more, but they're going to be just two cornerstones for the rest of their careers. That's what I know.
Yeah, I want to gear it around the Rookie of the Year race specifically for this season. In my opinion, I'm taking Cooper, but it's very close. Con is incredible. And I want to make a distinction, right? You should not be talking about team success when you're talking about rookie of the year. You know what I mean? It's most outstanding rookie. That's something I'm very passionate about. However, you can talk about like contributions to winning. You can talk about Con's impact, but you can't use the team record, right? Like the Hornets being better and Con having better teammates does not make him a better player, but you can use the fact that he does make winning basketball plays. You can talk about the fact that he's an incredible shooter, has already set the rookie threes made record. You can talk about how he's incredibly bulky and stocky around the rim and makes the right plays. You can talk about how he's a good passer. You can talk about how he's very solid defensively and he doesn't have any big limiting weaknesses. You can talk about those things and you can make the argument for him. I think he completely has a case for rookie of the year, and I flip-flop between it. But I still am going to go with Cooper because I think he's had a slightly more outstanding season. He's had some of those more peak moments. And while he struggled a little bit more, his improvement throughout the year has been insane. And I just think he's been the better rookie. You know what I mean? I think he's been the better player, but it is exceptionally close. And there's no shade to anyone who takes Con.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't quite realize that Con Knipple was shooting 43% from three this year. That's absurd for any player, let alone a rookie, to be able to come into the NBA and shoot that as well as he has from three. I will give the slight edge to Cooper Flagg. Like you said, he's had the bigger moments, which I think does really factor into who wins Rookie of the Year. He is truly already an elite level scorer, and the three ball hasn't even come around for him.
Like that's the other thing. He's shot under 30% from three this year, but in the past 5 he's shooting like 45%. And Con is not a defensive. It's hard because they're both good defenders, but I feel like Cooper's better.
He is the better defender.
Because of his athleticism, he's inherently gonna Con is making right decisions, and he has this really big frame and build that makes him a very good defensive rotation piece. But Cooper can clean up so much stuff around the glass, as a backside rim protector and in passing lanes and whatnot, because he's just so much more twitchy and athletic.
He's just so much. He's bigger and he is a unbelievable athlete. I will give the slight edge to Cooper Flagg, and it is pretty crazy to see just how much better he's gotten over the year. Casey, you made a point a while back that Cooper Flagg is a virus where he's rapidly evolving, and that's a perfect way to describe it. It seems on a week to week basis, he is just getting better and better and better, and it's not like a video game where progression is linear, but he truly is. As the season's gone on, he's gone just he's just consistently getting better and improving. His upside is unreal. I can't wait to see what he'll look like in year 2. But he's already such a special player, and I'm very happy that we have a true debate over Rookie of the Year, and that there's not one clear just guy that's head and shoulders above everybody else.
Yeah, and you have other guys like VJ Edgecombe, and Ace Bailey's been good, and Maximin Bruno have also been cool throughout the year. So it was a really solid rookie class. I mean, the Rookie of the Year race next year is going to be sick, knowing how good this freshman class is going to be. That'll be fun. But yeah, I'd slightly give it to Cooper. But they're both sick. And then outside of that, Luka and AR are done for the regular season. Luka has a hamstring strain and will come back. There's no timeline for him or AR, but estimates put him around the late first round, early second round, and AR is late second round, early third round, give or take a couple weeks. I think the Lakers are screwed. LeBron is shouldering so much.
Yeah. I feel like, Aidan, again, this is something that you and I have talked about a lot, specifically with the Rockets. When it comes down to, do you want to face the Lakers in the playoffs in the first round or the Nuggets? I feel like there's a clear distinction between which one of those teams you want to face. It's the Lakers. And I think we were even saying that before all these injuries started hitting the Lakers. And that's because, well, for me, it's because of their complete lack of a center still. But you tack on injuries to Luka and Austin Reeves, I really don't like the Lakers' chances at all. I do feel, just slightly bad. I get it, like feeling bad for the Lakers is stupid, but they were genuinely hitting their best stride with everyone healthy and Luka playing maybe like the best basketball of any player this season, and now it's all starting to crumble apart. You take their two best players out of the equation. I think this Lakers team, if they aren't back and somewhat healthy, I think they're an easy out in the first round.
Keenan, I kind of feel bad for Kim Jong Un too. I feel bad for Nazi Germany too. Do not feel bad for the Lakers. That's evil incarnate. Keep going. Hey, sorry. Did anyone else have anything to say?
I'll chime in. Yeah, I mean, like injuries always suck. Luca getting hurt at this point in the season when he was having such an unbelievable like stretch is really unfortunate. I would imagine. I don't like. I know you said like late first round. I would imagine the Lakers are going to do everything in their power to try to push him to be able to play every game in the first round because they are going to desperately need him if they want to have any chance at beating what will likely be their matchup in the Houston Rockets. But yeah, no Austin Reeves, and if you don't have Luca for some of those games, like um, you're asking LeBron to be 2018 Braun again, and at 41 years old, I love LeBron. He's maybe my favorite player ever. I just don't think that he's able to shoulder that type of offensive load anymore. I mean, um, maybe he is. Maybe he can turn back the clock. Maybe we're going to see an all-time performance from LeBron, but I just don't see it. And even with some of that stuff, like Keenan pointed out, they still have so many other flaws. Like defensively, they are not good at all. They don't have a true center. Like Şengün is going to eat versus the Lakers if that ends up being the matchup. Yeah, like the Lakers are probably just the writing's on the wall for them to be a first round exit this year.
And then last question for our NBA section before we move on. What is the team that you are most excited to watch come playoff time? I have two, so I'll let you guys go first, and maybe I get lucky and you guys take one of them.
Aiden, you can go first.
Um, I'm looking through some of these teams. I think I will go with the Atlanta Hawks. Um, they're a team that's come on really strong as of late. Nikhil Alexander Walker's been awesome. Jalen Johnson is a really, really fun player. Um, like they haven't really had the opportunity to be like a true playoff team. They're constantly in that play-in invitational with like the Heat and the Bulls and like the Rap, like they're constantly just like that couple teams. But they've been a really good team over the last like month or so of the season. I'm excited to watch them in the playoffs, like finally get to actually play like a true playoff series. I think that series versus there's still a lot of that can happen with seeding, but I feel like the matchup's probably going to be them versus the Cavs, which is a very fun series. Yeah, I'm really intrigued by what the Hawks can look like in the playoffs this year.
I really hope I'm not going to snag one of your picks, Casey. Here, maybe I'll just go. I think I might just limit myself to one. I had two in mind. I think I'm going to go with the team that I'm really intrigued by. I'm going to go Cleveland. They've secretly been finding really solid form to end the season here. They're currently riding a three game win streak. James Harden averaging 20 points per game. I just really am curious, honestly, with me, like how do they respond to last year's failure? Top seed last year, bounced in the second round. How do you respond to that? Because they're probably going to be, I think they're locked into being at worst the fourth seed. They could definitely move up, maybe overtake the Knicks for the 3 seed, possibly. I would really like to see if they could make up for last year's disappointing result. And this is the year that Kenny Atkinson will take them a little bit further to where JB Bickerstaff couldn't take them.
Yeah, I think the Hawks are a good shout because they've been a lot better since they traded Trae Young away, and they have so many interesting pieces that are going to get a little bit clunky in the playoffs. I think. I mean, when it comes to the playoffs, shooting is amplified and defense is amplified. If you can't defend, you're going to get played off the court, and if you can't shoot, you're going to get played off the court. Even if you're an incredible defender like Rudy Gobert, I mean, obviously, the Jazz had a lot of perimeter issues that forced him to come out, but he got exposed. Those type of things get exposed. So you have a team like the Hawks with like Dyson Daniels who cannot shoot.
He might get like legit DNPs in the playoffs.
I don't think he's gonna. It'll be interesting. I mean, if they like force him to shoot and he's not hitting, which I mean this year he has not, it'll get really interesting. And then you have CJ who's like not a great defender, so you have like kind of the opposite end of that. So how do you balance probably playing those two guys? Because you probably want both, but when you only have one, it can be a bit rough. But that'll be interesting. And then I think the Cavs are interesting as well because if they do get bounced, how are you going into next year with Harden, who's really old, and this core who's, kind of messed up a lot of times in a row. The two teams that I'm most excited for, I'll go with my East team first, are the Hornets. They've been a really exciting team towards the back stretch. When Brandon Miller, Concanipple, and LaMelo are all on the court, they have one of the best net ratings in the NBA, and they haven't been even in the play-in in a really long time. So I want to see how they go. And then the West, the Spurs. I've talked a lot about how I think they have really suspect shooters, so I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. And I also want to see Wemby in a playoff setting. For us early GOAT truthers for Wemby, I want to see if, is he going to crumble or is he going to rise in the playoffs? I think he's going to rise, but I'll be interested to see either way because, in the regular season, they're only 2.5 games back from the Thunder, but I feel like that playoff gap is pretty big, so we'll see how it comes through. But any other thoughts on the NBA before we move into the MLB?
Nah, I think we're all good.
All right. Well, Keenan, what do you have for us for the MLB?
So we are about 10 to 11 games into the new MLB season. Got some new storylines going. Thankfully, I think a lot of the ABS system has calmed down a bit. I still see a lot of people complaining, especially since as a result of calls being more correct, a record number of walks have been issued, which is making the games longer, directly going against everything Manfred has tried to do. But getting into more of the teams and players themselves, the big storyline is that the top prospect in all of Major League Baseball, Connor Griffin, got called up by the Pittsburgh Pirates. And not just that, and I couldn't believe it when Aidan told me this, they handed him a massive contract right out of the gate. If my memory serves me correct, it was somewhere, I think, 5 years, $184 million. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
It was a you got the money right, but it was a 9-year extension.
I see.
He's 19.
He's 19 years old.
19 who has never before that point never even stepped up to the plate as a major leaguer.
So this is essentially like if the Mavs like assigned Cooper to a 10-year extension like 2 weeks into the season.
Basically,
or
yeah.
If
not even because they gave him this contract before he played a game. So it literally imagine, if they drafted him and gave him a 10-year deal.
Can you
imagine it was like before his first game?
I'm trying to think of like some like crazy busts like Anthony Bennett or like Zach Wilson who get a 10-year extension off rip. Like, I mean, I imagine if Justin Fields had gotten you a 10-year extension after you guys draft before you even played a game, or C.J. Stroud or whoever.
Oh God, but I mean, it's not unprecedented because Jackson Churio comes to mind, where he was a player that before he even played in a major league game, he got a massive contract and it worked out. He is a borderline superstar for the Milwaukee Brewers. So just to kind of give you a preview of Griffin's stats so far, he's had 13 at bats. He posted a .077 batting average. He had 1 hit and 1 RBI. Not great numbers. Slow start for the kid's MLB career. Wouldn't be shocked, even though they did pay him the big bucks, if they maybe send him back down to develop a little bit more in the minor leagues. But I feel like at this point, maybe they're just desperate to get him called up and let him develop a little bit at the major league level. But that kind of leads me into my second point that I wanted to talk about. To You probably don't know this, Casey, but the Pittsburgh Pirates spending that much money on a player is completely unprecedented because they are a franchise notorious for just not caring at all about winning, about putting a good product in the field. They have been horrible for about a decade. I think the last time they made the playoffs was 2015. They have been terrible. And this season they've gotten off to a pretty decent start, 6-4. Nothing to go crazy about, but they've looked a lot more productive. Made a lot of big swings in free agency, bringing in guys like Brandon Lau for his bat. He's looked great so far, batting 273. And everyone's wondering, is this the year that the Pirates are finally going to be able to be at least competitive?
Well, they got a series here against the Padres, and they already dropped the first one 5-0. So I think we'll see if they're legit or not here. You're playing against the top dog. Are you gonna step up, or are you gonna shy down? And so far they shied down. If you can't score a run on the Padres, then that might be a little litmus test there. So I'll clue you in on my thoughts.
I think the big disappointment so far, and the last thing with the Pirates, is that Paul Skeens so far has a 9.53 ERA. I mean, again, the guy's pitched 5.2 innings so far, so this feels like something we'll look back and laugh on. But he hasn't looked great. I think that's the alarming thing, is he just hasn't looked like himself so far, and they desperately need him to get it together because he's genuinely untouchable when he's pitching well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not striking out. He's not striking a lot of people out. The whip is almost 2. Like he's walking a decent amount of people in those innings. But very small sample size. So I trust that the best pitcher in baseball will be able to turn it around and get it together. It's still so early in the season.
It's funny how, we're 10 games in to the MLB season, and it is a small sample size, and I understand why. But, once we're 10 games into the NFL season, it's like we're halfway through.
You have a good idea. Yeah.
You know what's going on. In your guys' opinion, how many games is enough sample size to be feel pretty concrete about trends in the MLB?
I would say if something is continuing into late May and June, that's usually where I go, oh no. So this is like an actual
30?
thing.
No, that's
30, 40 games. No.
It's more than that. It's between 40 to 50, maybe even 60 games. It's usually you really don't get maybe the clearest picture until possibly after the All-Star break, because I mean a lot of things shift after that week off. But I would say usually if Paul Skeens, if we're sitting here and he's still got a really high ERA by May, by June, that's where I go, okay, it's time to panic.
Yeah. That's fair. And hey, the Sox are 4-6. Well, one of the Sox are 4-6. The White Sox are 4-6. So good for you, Aidan. But the other Sox, the red ones, also absolutely hilarious. And it's no secret that I'm not the biggest baseball guy in the world. That we have 2 teams in the MLB that are Sox colors. But the Red Sox are 2-8, and they're not doing so well.
It is almost time to hit DEFCON 0 for the Red Sox. I get it. They've played 10 games so far. Holy heck, they have looked god awful so far. And this is even with the return that they got on the Rafael Devers trade. That trade looks fantastic. They look like they absolutely fleeced the Giants. Everything is falling apart for the Red Sox. The pitching has been terrible. And it's funny, Roman Anthony, he just hasn't looked quite he's batting 256, 10 hits, 1 home run. Just hasn't been living up to the level that he showed in the WBC, and he's one of the most exciting players in the game when he's on. And I saw a clip where, I don't know if you saw this, Aidan, but man, the man, if you hit a ball out to him in the outfield, the dude
I saw the throw home that he had. Yeah,
quite possibly one of the worst arms in the entire major league. That was an absolute noodle arm of a throw. I was pretty critical of Craig Breslow, the man in charge of the Red Sox for a lot of the moves that he made, letting guys like Alex Bregman walk while bringing in Sonny Gray, Contreras, signing Ranger Suarez to a huge deal. And I remember he went up against the Astros, got absolutely demolished. So I think Breslow's done a pretty terrible job with a lot of the moves that he's made, and that's pretty evident by the product. Again, it's still early, but the Red Sox are a fan base where this kind of result, it's not going to cut it.
Yeah. Also, Trevor's Story. I like obviously very early, but what is going on? He is
Yeah.
6 for 46 to start the season with 17 strikeouts. I mean,
this is coming off a season where he looked like he was returning to form, and they're paying this man a lot of money.
yeah. I mean, batting a buck 30. You're striking out a ton. Like, yeah. I mean, this is not ideal. Still plenty of time to turn it around, but yeah, that is a awful start to the season.
Yeah. Well, I think we can move on to our NFL section, and our NFL is pretty small.
I was just I cannot hear Mr. Smith.
Hello, am I?
There
Oh,
we
he's
go.
back.
See,
He's back. We're back.
I learned from last time. As soon as I heard like your voice in the room, but I couldn't hear you. I was like, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna text him.
I'm just gonna. All right, we are back though.
Dexter Lawrence. Did it unplug
Yeah.
again?
No, you're good.
I
And
can't
you
hear
can just the show can go on without me when stuff like that happens. But yeah, Dexter Lawrence trade. Thoughts?
Huh. Disaster
Just
class.
This is not good.
Just tell me
Disaster with the breakdown after dark. Cannot hear Mr. Smith.
Okay, so I've been told to. We'll just kind of run through the Dexter Lawrence requesting a trade while Casey Smith figures out his technical issues. So Aidan, let's break this down. Obviously, this is huge for the Giants. I mean, Dexter Lawrence is there he is. He's back. Yeah, Casey Smith is back.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Continue where I was. So, one thing I want to point out. On one hand, the man is an absolute cornerstone of the Giants' defensive line, which, I mean, is one of the best in terms of pure talent in the NFL. The man, when he's at his peak, he's one of the best defensive linemen in the entire game. But if you look at his numbers last season, he took a pretty sharp decline, and he did suffer a serious injury in the 2024 season. But last year, just across the board, Dexter Lawrence did not look like himself. I'll read them off here. He started in all 17 games, did not suffer any injury or anything like that. 31 combined tackles. That is the lowest in his entire career. 4 tackles for loss, only 0.5 sacks. And now, Aiden did make a great point when we were talking about this earlier. How much of that is him, possibly being on the decline? And how much of that is teams looking at Dexter Lawrence and going, yeah, put 2 guys on him. We're not taking any chances with sexy Drexy. But it's I'll let you talk about this part, Aiden, since you're a fan of a team that could be interested in trading for him. Could this be a bit of a roll of dice taking on Dexter Lawrence?
He is on like a pretty decent contract. He's got 2 years left on his deal, and the cap hit for this year is for the next 2 years about 27 mil. So it is expensive, but I mean if you're a team that is looking to like compete for a championship, building up like your interior defensive line is super important. Building through the trenches, and Dexter Lawrence is certainly one of the best players in the league at that. He's been consistent with playing almost every game of his career. outside of 2024. He's played in virtually every game. Um, but yeah, the numbers are down a little bit. The maybe the biggest thing that I can point to is every year since 2022, which was a career best year for him. Um, like the pressures have gone down from 36 in 2022 to just 12 last year. So I'd have to look at like some of the actual like tape and film to see how often he's getting like double teamed and how teams are choosing to block him. I still think he can be an absolute force on a defensive line. And he opens up so much more for everybody else. Like if an O line has to worry about an interior guy just wrecking havoc, it allows like the edge rushers to be able to eat. So um, he's a guy that I'm really intrigued by. The Bears potentially getting, and I don't think the asking price for Dexter Lawrence would be too steep. Like from what I've seen, it'd be like a first and second round pick, which isn't too crazy. So if it was the Bears, it'd be like 25 and 60, which I would be more than okay with giving up for a player of Lawrence's stature.
And then I actually have one more question that I kind of just thought of on the fly, not to put you guys on the spot, but you guys have done definitely a lot more NFL draft prep than me. Who are two prospects that you kind of like right now? Like maybe not your favorite prospect, not the one you want your team to go with, but someone who you've started to like a little bit more recently. Maybe they're a little underrated or whatever.
Aiden, you can go first. I need a little bit of time.
Like this is tough because there's a lot of like guys that I like. Are you talking in terms of just like a true sleeper, or just a couple prospects
Just
that I really like?
whoever you want to talk about. Just one prospect you want to talk about. Could be
Okay.
for whatever reason.
Yeah. A guy that I really like, that I've liked a lot in this draft cycle is Caleb Proctor. Um, Small school, defensive tackle, little undersized. He would probably end up making the move to an edge in the NFL. But 6'3", 280 out of southeastern Louisiana. Did weigh in at 290 at the combine. But great athlete, ran a 4.840 at 290. Good broad jump. He looked good in the individual drills. Stood out at the East West Shrine Bowl. So that's a guy that I like a lot. He's probably like a third or fourth round pick, but he's a guy that has a ton of upside. It just depends on who drafts him and where they see him fitting in playing.
Yeah. Keenan, you got anyone? You don't have to if you don't.
Oh, I've got one. So I'm gonna go with. I've talked with Aiden about this a lot. I compared this situation in terms of the top cornerback in this draft to Derek Stingley and Sauce Gardner back in 2022. It's kind of awkward comparing Mansour Delane to Sauce Gardner, but it's more in the fact that he played 2025 and he was excellent. I would not blame you at all if you said Delane is the best cornerback in this draft. But to me, Jermod McCoy is the Derek Stingley, and Jermod McCoy is this prospect that I want to highlight because although he did suffer a torn ACL, he did not play at all during the 2025 season for Tennessee. He is unbelievable when he's on the field. And I say this now because he just did some exercising and showcasing at his pro day, and he showed out. He killed it in all the drills. He looked fantastic. I think the injury stuff will probably still scare NFL teams, but if he falls, some team is going to get an absolute steal in Jermod McCoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a real good shout. I mean, he was unreal in 2024. So if he can get back to that form post injury, he might be one of the biggest steals in the draft.
Yeah. Well, let's get into our NHL segment. Biggest news easily is the Sabres making the playoffs. As a guy who's not really a hockey guy, what would you guys compare it to contextually?
It is, I mean, with kind of staying in state, it is quite literally like if the New York Jets made the playoffs. That is the best comparison because both franchises have just been basically in the basement every single year since 2010. The Sabres hadn't made the playoffs since 2011. I think that's still behind the Jets in terms of playoff droughts. So they weren't the sole owner of the longest drought. Of course, the Jets still have it. But this is just truly a remarkable moment for the Buffalo Sabres. I can remember, I think they've won the lottery 2 or 3 times. They've had the number one overall pick 2 or 3 times in the last like 8 years. They've been so terrible. And everything is turned around in the right direction. They might not only make the playoffs, but win their division, which says a lot because that's the same division with the Lightning, the Canadiens, and the Bruins. I'm so happy for Buffalo to see them back in the playoffs. I, along with a lot of hockey fans, will absolutely be rooting for them, however far they go in the postseason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking it up here. Like you said, 2011 was the last time that they made the playoffs. They have not won a playoff series since 2007. So nearly 20 years since the last time that they've won a playoff series. Um, you got to root for a squad like that, and a fan base that is so active in hockey and so rabid and has just been wanting a team to be just competitive. And finally, the Sabres are competitive.
The Pistons haven't won a series in a long time. I guess it's
Yeah,
been a little minute since the Magic.
Yeah.
Hornets have never won a playoff series, by the way, ever.
that
Just
is
crazy.
that is crazy.
I do seem to remember that.
Yeah, the Hornets have literally never won a playoff series. So yeah, that is pretty cool. And just at a glance, as a total hockey casual, the Western, I don't know if this is how it's pronounced. It's the Western Pacific Division, right? I was almost gonna say PAC because that's how
It's basically just the Pacific Division.
Yeah, the Pacific Division. Not a single team has clinched the playoffs yet, and only one has been eliminated. The Canucks.
The Pacific Division is just an absolute joke this year. The Vegas Golden Knights, just a few days ago, fired their head coach, Bruce Cassidy, who, keep in mind, he won a Stanley Cup with the Golden Knights just 3 years ago, and he just got fired for John Tortorella, which good luck. And that is the division with the Edmonton Oilers, the back-to-back Western Conference champions, the team that has quite possibly like the two best players in the entire world in hockey, with Connor McDavid. Now, the big X factor here is that Leon Draisaitl, his partner in crime, he suffered a serious injury and he's not going to be ready to go until the postseason. Everyone else besides that is just totally mid. The Ducks they've been pretty decent, but really inconsistent. They've been terrible, 5-game losing streak as of late. The Kings, the Sharks, despite whatever certain people within WCSN try to tell me.
Oh my gosh, man! The way that Amar and Iggy talk about the Sharks, I was stunned they weren't top of the division.
I mean, they have Macklin Celebrini, who is going to be, he might already be like top 10 player in the entire league. Right now, he's been unbelievable. The rest of the team around him, garbage. And the Pacific Division, it's trash. It's terrible.
Yeah, but let's wrap up the show with our MMA segment. Mr. Dobell, what do you got for us?
Yeah, not a big card last week. We were in the Apex, which why that is still a thing in the
What is
like
the Apex?
in the UFC. So it's an arena that it's like a warehouse arena that they built, much smaller capacity, but they built it during COVID as like a place where you can still have fights. It's like not an arena and you can host fights there. But it's now 6 years later and they're still hosting cards there. And it just doesn't make sense because the cards are never really great and the crowd is always very small. Like it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm
have
showing
these
pictures to the stream.
Yeah, just doesn't make sense to have cards there. But usually the cards actually like the name value isn't great, but the cards actually are pretty good in terms of like how many finishes you get. But Ethan Ewing is the one guy that I really want to point out. He made his debut back in November of last year against Malcolm Wellmaker, who at the time was an undefeated prospect. Made his debut on short notice and won that by unanimous decision. and he faced another undefeated fighter in Rafael Estevam, and won by round three TKO. Absolutely dominated. He defended all 8 takedowns from Estevam, significantly outstriked him. Was accurate. His defense was really good. His head movement was great. Like he is a very legit prospect in the bantamweight division. And if you haven't heard of him already and you're not on the bandwagon, I urge you to buy stock in Ethan Ewing because this dude is legit. He is very very talented. Um, just a very very skilled and well-rounded fighter.
I
Um,
I know Real is not the most incredible app for UFC, but
yeah.
they describe his second round as a second round skull crusher bloodbath, which was something that I didn't even know they
Um,
could call it. But looking at the strike distance, I think that's fairly, or the strike
it's
difference. I
it's
think that's
yeah,
pretty accurate.
it's pretty fair. I mean, yeah, he outstriked him 67-14 in the second round. Like, almost got him out of there, dropped him at the end of the second round, and um, I mean, credit to Estevam. He was tough. He was just getting battered, and what finally took him out was it was a body shot. Like he was taking the shots to the head, and then eventually, you know, if you heard anything about fighting, if a guy's not going down from the headshots, you hit him a couple times to the body, he'll crumble, and that was really all it took.
Yeah. Um, well, what else do we have to look forward to in this upcoming slate?
Yeah, so let's see. Next weekend we have a awesome card with Yuri Prohaska fighting Carlos Ulberg for the light heavyweight title. That's going to be an unreal fight. But we did lose the co-main event of that fight. It was set to be Joshua Van defending his flyweight title for the first time versus Tatsuro Taira, which is a interesting matchup because it would be, I believe, the first fight or maybe first title fight between two guys who were born in the 2000s. So the new generation of the UFC. Joshua Van is the flyweight champ. He is only 24 years old, and Tyra is only 26. But unfortunately, Van suffered an injury, so that fight had to get moved back to the next pay per view in May. Um, so we'll have to wait just a little bit longer to see that fight, but it will be a very fun fight. And um, even though that fight got removed from the card, next week's card is still very stacked. There's a lot of very intriguing matchups on that beautiful Paramount card.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's everything we got for today. Anything else y'all want to chat about? Sports at all? Triple T,
Um,
Easter, anything at all?
no, I'll go back to Hunter Huff real quick, and just shout out the kind of journey that he made. Started his career at Virginia Military Institute. Um, didn't play in 2022, 2023, and then went to UT Chattanooga for 2 years, and then finished his career at West Virginia. That is what the transfer portal, in my mind, truly should be about. Like guys from these really small programs being able to finally get their opportunity at the Power Five level or Power Four level now. Not a Power Four guy bouncing to five different Power Four schools. Um, yeah, that is what the transfer portal should truly be about.
I did want to point out real quickly that this is more something that we'll talk about next show, but I will be plopping myself down and watching the Masters this weekend.
Mm.
I'm really excited.
I believe it's the
Yes.
first Masters in a very long time that will not have either Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson participating.
I seem to I from my memory that is correct. Hopefully Tiger Woods is getting himself some help for whatever's going on in his personal life. And shout out to ASU legend Phil Mickelson. But yeah, this is gonna be a really fun Masters. Can't wait.
I'll check it out. I always like the Masters.
Yeah.
Seems
don't have-
like Casey will not be tuning in.
You know, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. But that about wraps it up.
Okay.
Masters is
It's
beautiful, man.
You do realize who just won the last tournament in the PGA Tour, right? It's JJ Spawn, who comes from
I've never heard of that.
School named. He comes from a little school named
I've
San
never-
Diego State University.
I've never heard of that man in my life, Mr. Vaughn.
You don't know ball. You
I
don't know.
don't.
You don't even know alumni from your own
He
school.
doesn't know golf ball, and that's okay. Not everybody's a golf fan. I very recently, have started getting a little bit more into golf after attending the Waste Management Open this year. So, yeah, I'll tune into the Masters. It's always fun.
Look, I'm absolutely exhausted right now. If I wanted to, if you talk to me at a different time, I go on a whole rant about how golf is terrible. But I will just leave it at I will let people enjoy what they want to enjoy, and I will go enjoy my own things. But trust me, I've tried to watch golf, I've tried to play it, and I try to do things in my life that bring me joy, not misery. And golf is a lot more misery, not a lot of joy. But that about wraps it up for this episode of the